at the time I did what I had to do. It was like no turning back. You get to a point where there's no turning back.
It was just something that came on you.
In the tropical setting of the Bahamas, where sunlit beaches and clear azure waters create a peaceful atmosphere, a series of tragic events shatter the tranquility of the island nation. The peace is disrupted when 14-year-old ninth grade student Desmond Roll goes missing after leaving his part-time job as a bag packer at a well-known supermarket on the island. While a missing teenager might typically return home after breaking curfew, this is not the case for Desmond. Unfortunately, he becomes the fifth boy to vanish without a trace in just over 4 months. The string of disappearances began with 11-year-old Macintosh Colas, a 6th grader at Lewis Yard Primary, who went missing on May the 16th. DeAngela Mackenzie, a 13-year-old 8th grader at Jack Hayward High School, vanishes 11 days later. In July, 11-year-old Junior Remy, a 5th grade student at Freeport Primary, disappears on July the 29th. Bahamian detectives discovered that all the missing boys attended government schools, worked as grocery packers, frequented the same downtown games room, and lived close to each other. This revelation stuns both detectives and the local population, as nothing similar had occurred in the history of the 700-island British colony. On October the 26th, 2003, a man walks into the Central Police Station of Gran Bahama and confesses to the murders of the 4 boys and an additional victim, 22-year-old Jamal Robinson. The confessed killer is Cordell Farrington, a 35-year-old who, during his interrogation, reveals a history of repeated sexual molestation and assault in his youth. Farrington's life story includes odd jobs, an attempt to become a priest, and a passion for art, particularly painting crying boys. The shocking revelations during Farrington's police interrogation and court trial depicts the gruesome details of how he had abducted, assaulted, and murdered the boys.
Setting is nothing suspicious about it. This guy seemed to be okay on the side of me. He don't seem to be a person who want to hurt me or who's out to get me. So it's just a normal social setting.
So you were with them for a period of time before you killed them?
Sure.
So they trusted you?
Yeah, well, sure, I guess so.
Farrington confesses to keeping the remains of the victims, explaining his twisted motives and the disturbing events leading to their deaths. His unsettling confession includes details about his relationship with Jamal Robinson and how it turned deadly due to financial issues and drug-related problems. Farrington's acts escalate with each victim, involving sexual assault, physical abuse, and the horrific mutilation of Desmond Roll's body.
How did you kill each of them?
Swiftly. It wasn't no torture or nothing like that.
No torture.
I made it clear that I never tortured anyone, but nonetheless, it was swift.
Not being satisfied with his answer, I went back at Cordell Farrington on the second day. This was his response. They met the demise.
You speaking about it as far as how did they die?
Yeah.
They were stabbed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Each of them?
Yeah, each of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were they aware of what was going on when it happened?
Yeah. They was aware.
What did their reaction? What was their reaction when it happened?
Well, it wasn't a long like process like hang up or anything. It's just like you're gonna die and that's it.
You told them that.
Yes.
And what was their response when you told them that?
Nonchalant, I guess.
Nonchalant?
Yeah.
No one showed any over emotion.
One person, I think Remy did. Yeah.
Did they try to resist you and fight?
No, it wasn't nothing like that.
You just stabbed them.
Remember now, we spoke for a while and I think they was comfortable and everything. So,
But they didn't have an idea what was going to happen.
exactly right. I don't think they understood the ramifications of what I said. Yeah.
The sentencing occurs before Justice John Isaacs on September the 30th, who described the killings as horrific and sentenced Farrington to life in prison. Despite an appeal based on evidence of Farrington's mental illness and substance abuse, the Court of Appeal overturns the murder conviction and death sentence, replacing them with a lesser charge of manslaughter. Farrington's tearful plea for forgiveness from the victims' families follows the overturned conviction. In 2008, the four grieving mothers finally held a mass funeral for their sons at the Community at Heart Tabernacle. Public on the island was outraged by the reduced sentence, considering it a lack of justice. The families feel disrespected, especially since Farrington avoids the death penalty.
You sit here today, years later. Any regrets?
Yeah, sure. Gotta be regrets.
What do you say to the families? This is your camera right here. What do you say to those families? They're seeing you and hearing you talk for the first time.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember the last appearance in court, in Supreme Court before John Isaacs, when we were dealing with the four boys in particular. I don't know if all of the family members were there, but if they would remember, I turned to them, I turned around to them, and I told them that I was sorry.
And you mean that?
Yes, of course.
Do you believe you're changed, you're rehabilitated?
I don't know if that's for me to answer. I don't know if I'm the right person. I don't want to sound
Cliches.
no, I don't want to sound caught up in myself, more or less. But I don't know if that is for me to say.
If you were to be released, are you confident that you would not have that appetite again to commit the same crime?
Oh, sure, yeah. In fact, I decided that the moment I turned myself in, that I was going to stop. So it's not like I become a zombie where I'm being controlled by some other outside element and I can't control myself or my hands or my feet. There were choices I made. I decided not to do it again when I turned myself in.
What do you say to the people of Gran Bahama?
In briefest summary, first of all, I'd like to say that I knew that what I did was wrong, and I'm so sorry for what I did. And I ask that you all will find in your hearts to forgive me and to allow me to move on and to rehabilitate myself and to be whole again.
Reverend Glenroy Bethel, representing the mothers, urges parents to be vigilant and protect their children, while emphasizing the need to learn from the Cordell Farrington's case to prevent history from repeating itself. These tragic cases prompted a broader discussion about the importance of community vigilance, mental health awareness, and the need for improved law enforcement coordination. It served as a somber reminder that darkness could lurk even in the most idyllic settings.
Do you still think about these 5 boys?
Sometimes it might sound strange, but I've been here 14 years now. You understand what I'm saying? And I've done a lot of things while here at the prison. And sometimes, like, I know one morning I got up and I even forgot what I was charged for. You understand what I'm saying? So it could be that thrust back in the past where you just put the past completely behind you.
Is that what you did?
And that's what I did.
Thanks for watching. Until next time.